And hello good people of the internet, it is I, Tommy Kelly, and this is Adventures in Woo. And in this episode we're going to do some more 1 card, 47s, divination, readings, fortune telling, thingamybobs. So hello and welcome to another divination video. Normally this is done once a month and it's for patrons only, but as the patrons were a bit quiet this month, there's a couple of extra questions from the Discord group. If you want to get in on the Discord group or the Patreon for that matter, the links are in the show description below. Now I have to apologise a bit for my appearance, although it may not come out as I'm getting quite good at colour correcting it out, but the thing in my eyes has come back again, or not that it ever went away, it's flared up massively since yesterday. It was like the worst it has been in a long while yesterday. So I have these kind of red tear lines on my face. So if I'm looking a bit sad to you, it's not sadness really, it's just some sort of skin condition. So I don't know, like that's sad in itself. But anyway, that's enough about me and my my skin. Let's get into this. So when I do divinations, what I like to do if I'm doing it for other people or for myself is I will always take a card first to do a reading for myself and look for a kind of a positive or a negative and see if I'm in a good kind of place to do it. And if I'm not, I'll just take a break and come back. And if that's the case with this, just pause the video and I'll come back in a while. But should be okay. So you have to deplete it. So that would mean I'm not in a good position to take it. So what I'm going to do, and this is I suppose a good example, is I'm going to take 5 minutes and I'm going to come back, center myself, ground myself, and we'll get back into it. So I had quite an adventure since I last seen you, and not a very nice time. Basically, after I got to depleted, I stopped, I just calmed down, I walked around, did nothing. And then I took another card and got the witch and it goes, right, we're good to go. And then I did it and I went through the whole thing, and when I was transferring the files over to the computer, the main file just wouldn't work. It would work on the camera and you could see it and all those things, but it wouldn't work then to edit, couldn't repair it, couldn't do anything with it. One of those days, just a number of other things has happened, it's just like, oh, really? So yeah, to deplete it. I remember everyone's card, so I'm going to go through it again. I was going to do another card, whatever, but I think the cards that came out are the right cards. And you just have to bear with me in case I forget something that I said in the last time, or repeat and all of that kind of things. Also, switch camera again, just because I don't trust the other thing at the minute, and I just can't get the exposure to fix properly in this for unknown reason that has never happened before. Anyway, let's get into this. Anonymous asks, what am I to learn or understand regarding my relationship with DMK at present? DMK. So what came out for you was the adventure. And so what we are to say out of this is that it's an adventure. It's something to go into with that kind of spirit and see it as, you know, getting into new paths, doing new things, searching out there into the world, to see, you know, what I like and what you don't like. Now the thing obviously with the adventure and adventure in general is that it has to be kind of new areas, or it has to be doing new things, or else it's not an adventure. Because you can't really have an adventure in places or situations that you know, unless something comes in that fundamentally changes the dynamic of that situation. Like you can have a new adventure, say, in a place that you are in work, that you've been working for, like an office for 20 years, and then someone new comes in and it changes the dynamic up. But if everything changes the same, if everything stays the same, then there's no real, no adventure. So you have to allow the possibility of new things and seeing things in a different way, and also that element of fear and stuff. You know, you need that kind of nervousness, whatever. You have to be doing stuff that is a bit sort of out of your comfort zone, or just not familiar and stuff like that. And to see the whole thing as an adventure rather than anything else, that's kind of what the cards are saying for you today. Ramona Haley Swartz, I hope that's how you pronounce her name. I'd like to know, what servant do I need in my life at the minute to find my ideal partner? And this was an interesting one. What came up for you was the protester. Now, what I took from this is that what it's saying to you is that you have to be true to yourself and to speak your own voice and make yourself be heard. But not in an angry kind of aggressive way. Just to be, to be okay with who you are, to be sure about who you are, or, and not to. There's a kind of thing we can do in kind of relationships, or particularly when we're trying to get a relationship, in that we can kind of become a different person that we think the other person will want, or that people in general will want. This is an acceptable, lovable person, rather than being ourselves. And sometimes that's why relationships down the road can kind of fall apart, because you can't keep that kind of pretense up for forever, because you start getting resentful of it anyway, and you start wanting to be yourself. And apart from that, it's not who you are. So the protester in this kind of situations, don't do that. Don't go into the kind of thing of looking for love or looking for your ideal partner by being anything else other than your true self. Now that's not to say that you consider yourself perfect, or that there's nothing that you need to work on, or all of these things, because we all need to work on things. We all need, we've all shadow work, we're all evolving into our better selves and all of those things. But not to do it just for the sake of the other person, not to change just for the sake of attracting love. Go out there as yourself, without the fear of, people not liking you because who you are, or trying to hide things or anything like that. And that's more what it is, rather than any kind of aggressiveness or projection outward or getting angry about stuff, But be aware of that too, if that's an issue, not to do that. That it's just to, stand up for who you are and what you are, and not try to change for other people. Abraxas. What's my next step? Your next step, what came up for you was the conductor. Now at the same time, the giver also came up in a kind of a slight shuffle, so that I'd be aware of that as well. The conductor obviously is to take life into your own hands and to weave the world to your design rather than following anyone else, and to make sure that it's what you want, that it's putting your mark in the world. It's you're leading the orchestra, you're not being led. And giving that in regards to with the giver, it would be a case of that you're giving out. It's come to the point that you're in control. It's you're giving, you're not receiving. So it's that whole kind of encompassment of conducting your own orchestra, making your life in as you want, rather than being told what to do, or allowing life, or society or existence to impose its stuff on you. Now's the time for you to impose your stuff on it. So good luck with that. Steve, what is blocking me from lucid dreaming, otherwise known as waking up in a dream? So I had a kind of a little rant about this and going that lucid dreaming is not necessarily waking up in a dream. What lucid dreaming is the idea of that you become aware you're dreaming, so you're not actually waking up. But I know why you would say that. The reason why I'm kind of picking on this a wee bit is that it is possible to wake up in a dream in the sense of gain enlightenment or satori, or have a sort of an awakening event while you're asleep, which would be waking up in a dream, which is a different thing. But lucid dreaming in itself is the awareness that you were dreaming and then being able to control dreams. More saying that for other people other than you, I assume you know that. So what came up for you is the fixer. So what I get from that is that there's a lot of text and a lot of kind of ideas about how to do lucid dreaming, and I would say that that's either you're not following them or you haven't kind of put them into practice. That there's one where you can go around and you hold your nose and you hold your mouth and you check if you can breathe, and you do that constantly during the day, and if you can't breathe, then you know you're not dreaming. But if you do it and then you realize that you can breathe, then the chances are you're dreaming or you've gained some sort of superpower. So it's suggesting that you need to pay the price, you need to do the work, you need to start doing your dream journals, you need to start doing the thing where you wake yourself up in the middle of the night, or you set an alarm or set a noise that kind of interrupts your sleep pattern and makes you more aware, change your kind of sleep rhythm, them sort of things. All those different texts that you can look into. There's whole subreddits about it, loads of websites, books, infinite amount of YouTube channels all about it. So do the work, pay the price. That could be the thing that's holding you back, is that you're just maybe just expecting it to happen or doing it. And if you are doing all the work, just be more consistent with it, or try a different tech, do some different type of thing. So I hope that helps. Sir Echo, how is my shadow work going? What came up for you was the gatekeeper, and this came up a number of times then for people in subsequent kind of spoilers, in subsequent questions. So this happens a lot. I've noticed when I'm doing readings for other people is that one card in particular will come out, and it seems to be an overall theme of the day or whatever. So given that the kind of situation I found myself in, I should have a look at the gatekeeper for myself. But anyway, that's neither here nor there for you. So the gatekeeper would suggest that what your shadow work is doing is you're opening up new areas of your consciousness or new areas of your life, and you're getting into places that you weren't normally before, that you have access to different places, different realms or different ideas, or you're seeing yourself in a different light. But it's definitely movement forward, and you're getting to a place that your shadow work is working in that it's opening new doors, getting into different parts, all of those type of things. So well done in that, and can continue what you're doing. Shadow work's very hard, and it's very, while quite rewarding when you get there, it can be quite devastating in places. And that whole idea of seeing yourself as, doing asholic acts or doing bad things can be quite kind of, you can get into quite a sort of a dark place with it and think you're a bad person, but you're not a bad person. You're just someone who's dealing with stuff. So yeah, well done. Gatekeeper suggesting that new things are opening up because of the work you were doing. So well done. Will my workplace stabilize? George Cillia. So this came up for you, George, and again, you got the gatekeeper as well, which I found very interesting because there was a good shuffle between the two. So it wasn't just a random. So what came from that, what I kind of got from all that, was the fact that that kind of idea of that the lack of stabilization in the workplace. And I had a whole very funny rant just before the whole thing about your office being working on a Teutonic plate and all this kind of stuff. It's just trying to say it again, just won't be funny. So all of that humor and expert comedy moments lost to the wilderness, lost to time. But yeah, so the whole idea of the lack of stability is that it's opening up new things and all that. That kind of a whole cliche thing of that you have to go through, a bit of darkness to get to the light and all that. But in this case, it seems to be this is something that needs to happen in order for. It's almost a thing, in a sense, there's a stagnancy, or things have gone in a rush or whatever, and in order to shake things up, literally to the lack of stabilization, this, whatever thing is going on, there has to be this kind of period of not turmoil, I don't know how bad it is, but like this period of instability that it needs to go through in order for it to open up and to expand once again in, not necessarily the way it was always meant to be or anything, but in a better way, in a more expansive way, with more opportunities, with more freedom, with more air, all of these all around you. So see it as a good thing, medium term, short term, you're just gonna have to, stick with it until it changes. So good luck with that. Fabula. Should I move back to my hometown? And what you got was the messenger, which made me think that you will, rather than this being, it's because it's like kind of a strict yes or no question, should I move back, should I not? There's a message or there's some sort of communication that has to occur that will give you your answer around it. Be that be an email, a synchronicity, you're talking to someone, or some sort of direct contact from God if you're so lucky. But there's also with the kind of thing, this may have already happened and you just haven't seen it or accepted it because it mightn't be the answer you want, or you just haven't noticed it, whatever. There is that kind of implication, that kind of idea with the messenger that there's a lot of the messages, a lot of things, the communication that we're not seeing because we don't want to, so or we've ignored, or just haven't got round to it yet. So either there's a communication which will give you your answer, your proper thing, like something will happen that will clarify it for you, or it already has and you just don't want to accept it, or you have ignored it. So good luck with that. Sepherion. What should I focus on next to advance my epic quest? You got the carnal, and this one was interesting because I got a kind of overall feeling from this, and I had kind of a long rant about all this. Not a rant, a long kind of talk about it, where I definitely don't feel it's kind of the carnal in its kind of lusty sexual sense at all, but more in her feeling good about yourself in a physical type way, but in a kind of like, I know you're into martial arts, so it's like kind of that, as if you've in some sort of way neglected that, or could be working on that, and that there's also this kind of idea that there's a loss or something of a sense of self, but in a physical way, in a kind of like, almost like you've stopped wearing a hat you used to wear, or you stopped wearing a coat or a t-shirt, or there was some sort of fashion thing, there was a statement around who you or what you were that you've kind of forgotten about, that you need to consider again. But certainly this thing of working on, whether that be physical fitness, diet, all of those really boring, horrible things, to feel better about yourself physically, but I'm not sure it's just feeling better about yourself because you're buff. It's about feeling confident about yourself, which is why the kind of clothes thing came into it, that there's some sort of identifying thing physically that you've forgotten about or have changed or don't do, that when you do that, opens up everything, not everything else, but a number of other things that seem totally unrelated. That's kind of, whether that just gives you a bit of confidence, a bit more sureness about who you are, and a bit more clarity around your persona or whatever, that then leads to, you know, changes or confidence in other areas. I don't know, but it's kind of, it mightn't seem connected at all, but is. So I hope that's helpful. You probably know what it is. I don't know. I don't know, be surmising or guessing, which is, you know, no help to anyone. So good luck with that. Sue Davis. How will things at my current place of employment for me, how will they be for me in 2020? You also got the gatekeeper. And that's kind of, it's going to be the similar kind of answer to George, in that it's probably without the turmoil as much, probably, because there doesn't seem to be an instability, but it's going to lead to greater and better things, or to more kind of an expansive thing. So it could lead somewhere. So that kind of idea of that the job could lead to another job is one kind of aspect. But there was a whole thing that came to me about that for some reason, where I was thinking about the gatekeeper in regards to your job, and it was kind of like this idea of something that you used to do that you stopped doing, and then you will discover again. And it's kind of like the idea of, you know, you used to go to work, a certain route to work, and then you stopped doing it for whatever reason. Maybe you were avoiding someone, maybe there was a shop this way or whatever. And then one day you go back the other way, you go, oh, this is a much better way to get to work, or whatever it is, or get home, or get to the bus, whatever it is. Metaphorically speaking, of course, and then apply that to something to do with your work job, your employment, that it's, the gatekeeper is not only just opening up into new places, but kind of showing you or reopening places that used to be, or opportunities or ways of doing things previously that you would have done, and for some reason you stopped, and might have been a good reason to stop, but now that will work again in a much greater way than it would have back then, or something like that. There's an aspect to that. That was kind of, I spoke a bit more about that this time than I did the last time, because it was more a general kind of gate opening, door opening, that thing. So good thing for next year. But it seems to be something worth thinking about, considering as well, just coming from what I said to Sepherion in the last question, there seems to be some kind of correlation between your two questions about something in the past that's affecting the now because you stopped doing it. So just while I was going through it again. So, but good sign for next year. Seems all good. New opportunities, could lead somewhere better. Will lead somewhere better. Anonymous. What's the best path for us to follow to get to the highest benefit from our relationship? So, what came up for you in this is the mother, and the immediate response to that would be, oh, well, you should get pregnant. But I don't think that's it. I really, that's not the impression I got. That's just one of those things, like, it's like kind of when you do a tarot reading and you get the death card, you go, oh, I'm going to die. It's like the obvious kind of thing. Well, I'm not ruling it out, you know. Do as I will, shall be the whole of law, etc. I think it's more pointing to the nurturing kind of element of the mother, into that when you start a relationship, and when you're in these kind of relationships, and kind of what I talked a bit about earlier on, you become the best version of yourself, and you try to nourish the relationship, and you kind of nurture it, and, you know, be there for the other person, and you know, you kind of like that kind of warmth and the glow and all of that, which can kind of go in relationships, even good relationships, because, you know, you've annoyed each other so many times, and the polish is gone, you know, the paint isn't as fresh on the walls, and you're just kind of it's a bit rutty and stuff like that. And so the mother in this kind of sense is, for me, saying that to just kind of try to build an atmosphere of what it was like at the beginning, where, you know, there was this warmth and this kind of optimism and positivism and want to care for the other person, rather than necessarily just being annoyed by the person or seeing seeing the wonderfulness of each other and why you love each other and all that kind of stuff. Fairly cliched kind of thing, but it seems to be that kind of thing. The other part of the mother, of course, is that she's an embodiment of the earth element, among other things, but that kind of thing, which again fills in the whole, obviously fertility there as well, but it fills in the kind of things around safety and stability and looking after things like food and shelter and money and all of these things. So make sure all of that's kind of in place, that there's a stability there, that's kind of all worked out, that there's not one person, say, paying all the bills and someone not doing that, or things like that. Have all of them kind of things, bring them in order, and so that there's a kind of very nurturing family atmosphere to your partnership, make a home out of a thing. Doesn't it, and I don't even mean that, like, if I don't know your circumstance, if you just don't live together or whatever, you can still make a home out of the place where where you meet, in that kind of where I meet I kind of thing. Hope that helps, and good luck with that. Craig Luis Barrios, sorry Craig. There's kind of a thing as well where people pronounce Craig. Maybe you're a Craig, like Greg. Let me know. I say Craig. My friend who is Craig calls himself Craig, which is very weird. Which one of the 40 servants most wants to work with me this year? What you got was the father, which is very interesting considering the last one was the mother. But the father in this is a good card to get. It could work with it. It's kind of the person who's the mother is a card, or archetypically speaking, is someone who doesn't will save their child from getting into harm, will keep them away from harm and protect the child at all costs. Whereas the father, in a sense, allows the child to make their own mistakes. This is archetypically speaking, and not always the case, I've got to say, but just go with me on this. Allows the child to make their own mistakes in order for them to learn and to become better and stronger and all that. Now, it's not a case of the father throws the child out into the world and there you go and make your own mistakes and don't be annoying me. There's an element of holding the hand and being there with the person as they go through the stuff in life that there's no getting around, the loss of love, sickness, debt, jobs, all of these things that you have to go through in life that are part of life that there's just no getting around. Call it these rites of passages and all that. So it's kind of this idea of the father is the person who sits with you, holds your hands, talks to you when you've broken up with your boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, or something terrible has happened, but is not the person who tries to fix that for you. It's the person who's there giving you the guidance, but allowing you to make your own decisions about things, to learn your own lessons, and to get burnt by the fire if that's what needs to be done, even if they're aware that that's probably what's going to. It's allow you to make your own mistakes, but being there as a guidance. So good luck with that. Rory Kelly, what's the best focus for my financial health this month? You got the giver. So that's not what you want to hear when you're talking about financial health, but it is like that idea of flow with money and stuff like that, and not hoarding money can be, I found, quite effective in keeping the flow of money going, whatever that. If you start getting too kind of worried about money and not buying things or not spending or whatever it is, it just seems to slow down the kind of even influx of money or the inward sort of money. But it's not a kind of thing throw caution to the wind and do whatever you want. It's like token gestures. It's like have the coffee, the coffee that you go, I can't really afford, but have a coffee. It's not go buy a car, it's like you try to keep a flow, try to keep these things going. And that whole idea of tithing and stuff like that. So be a giver is kind of what it's saying. I don't know, because I don't want to tell you, I'm not a financial expert or whatever, so I don't want to be telling you what to do with your money or your financial situation or anything like that. But just don't hoard things and don't be afraid to give away. But don't feel under pressure to give away either. Like it's not, but see it as flow. See it as the thing around the giver as well. It's kind of, as I said before, it's like the rune Gibo. When you give something, you enter into a contractual arrangement. It's like when you give someone a birthday present, there is a kind of unwritten, unspoken about contractual obligation for them to give you a present back. So giving involves receiving, and it's a reciprocal situation. And when you don't do one, it breaks that situation. So don't forget about the giving. That's what it's suggesting. And good luck with that. Biro, what should I change to get better results and benefits from my meditation? You got, in this one, the eye. And the eyes are all about things are fine, things are going well, you know, the gods are happy, or you know, there's the eye of providence, and it's that all is well. So this suggests to me that just keep going at what you're doing, and don't try to change stuff up because you're not getting anywhere. Sometimes perseverance and patience is just the thing that you need to do, and that just changing it up can sometimes muddle it or postpone the kind of benefits you get from it. Don't concern yourself too much with what you know other people are getting or other insights that people are doing, or whatever. People, you know, let them do them and you do you. But whatever it is you're doing, I would suggest, or the cards suggest, just to continue at it, and you will see some fruit from it in that way, rather than changing it up. So good luck with that. I used to say, for meditation, the only thing I get from meditation is a sore back. But now I lie down to meditate, so I don't even get a sore back. So I've long struggles with meditation, so I get you. Okay, so for the final one we have IDCT321, and I want to know who and why someone close to me, not a relative or close friend or lover, sent negative spells, energy to me for no reason, no discernible reason. I have a couple of questions about this one, and I was like, I want to know who did this, but yet you know it's not a relative or close friend or lover. Why do you know that? So you obviously have some idea who it is if you know, you're asking who it is, but at the same time you know who it isn't. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So what the actual question I asked is, I want to know why someone sent negative spells and energy to me for no discernible reason. And the thing that came up, this was an interesting one, and it was kind of the first card that came out I wasn't satisfied with because it didn't seem to answer it, but and while I was doing it I had that whole, I kept getting this kind of inner eye thing of a black bird, and I was thinking, is that the messenger, or what is the thing where to send you a message? And it's not that, of course, it's the protector, and just this kind of call for protection. But I didn't want to install or instill any fear in you or anything like that. I don't think there's anything terribly bad going on here or anything, but I don't know, I don't know the situation. But just that idea of that you can, it's always good to protect yourself, you know, but not in a thing of that where it leads to fear though, because it's kind of the opposite of what you want. You want to feel safe. You want to feel, you know, you want to be safe and all of those things. So just have a look around your protection kind of things and what's going on with that. And the thing of like, you can do, having good locks on your door is a million times better than doing lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram every day or whatever, you know. So think of practical things as well. Like if your social media is on, you know, public, you know, have a think about maybe being on private, you know, them kind of protection things, you know, protect yourself in those type of ways. But the card you actually got was the librarian, which is kind of, because it's about knowledge and things and about knowing things, it kind of felt like as if someone was doing it to test it out in a sense, but that would be more a practical kind of use of knowledge, which the guru would kind of suggest, where the librarian is more just the acquisition of knowledge, storing of knowledge. So it's kind of something about it just didn't click and I couldn't work it out. And then what came out was the fixer. So what I got was that whoever this person is, or whatever it is doing, and even to a thing, this might be just something you're, you know, projecting, and you know, you have to be aware of that too, that unless you're very sure this happened, it could be part of your thing. I'm not saying it is, that's a thing you have to always keep in mind, that most curses, it's just paranoia in a sense, or some form of 90% of them, which is not to say that 10% of them aren't, but it's definitely worth considering. But it's this idea of that a price hasn't been paid, or like if it's been thrown at you, then someone thinks that you have gotten away with something, or you think you've gotten away with something, or that some price has not been paid, and therefore when something's sent negatively at you, is to punish this for this perceived injustice that has happened. And if you know who it is, and I suspect by the way you worded the question that you have an inkling, or you have a suspicion around someone doing something like this to you, that I don't think this is going to go away unless you kind of confront it. And I don't mean confront it in an angry kind of pushing sense, but you know, find out what it is and find out why it is and try to resolve it rather than confront it. Resolve's a better word, because there's a sense of an injustice that has occurred that someone, be that an external person or an internal person, feels hasn't punished is too strong a word, but it hasn't been, someone's gotten away with it and needs their comeuppance in some sort of sense. A lot of confusion around this for me compared to all of the other ones, which I kind of had a very good grasp of what I wanted to say or what was coming to it. There's a lot of confusion around it, so there seems to be an element of the story or the thing that's missing. So, but advice, protect yourself, always good advice. Don't get afraid of it though. It's not protect yourself and something bad's going to happen. Just, you know, general, protect yourself. You know, shitty things happen to people. If you feel negative energies coming towards you, you know, protect yourself. All of these things. The librarian, something to do with knowledge of someone, maybe that if we're going to put it in with the thing, someone found out something. There was some sort of acquisition of knowledge that happened. Someone became aware of something and then acted on that, or because of that gaining of that knowledge, felt that a price had to be paid, or a price wasn't being paid. Anyway, that's all I know. Now, I want to stress to everyone, do not take anything I've just said as any sort of word of God or gospel or the truth, or in any way anything other than someone shuffling a deck of cards and pulling out cards and then riffing off them. You are the ultimate decision maker in your life, and you have to act upon, you know, you have to make your own decisions and all those things. So just think of it as advice from a friend. It's just something, you know, two people talking over coffee and someone goes, oh, I'm having problems with my boyfriend, and they do it. But the decision is ultimately yours. No one knows for sure what the future holds. And even if we did, even if the cards knew exactly what was going to happen, the fact of getting the reading and understand and hearing what's happened instantly changes what the future is going to be, because you have new information. So all of those things. Now, before we go, I just want to point out that even though a couple of weeks ago I said that the last sale of the year for the 47s would have been the Halloween sale, I forgot about Black Friday and Cyber Monday, so the deck will be on sale for this weekend, for that weekend. So it'll be your last kind of chance to get the deck before the holidays, get it shipped out and all that, but they're shipping quite well. And when I ordered mine recently, as I wanted to see the new card stock, I got it really fairly quick, and it shipped out before the date that they said they would when I ordered. But of course, that's going to be less so the closer you get to holidays and the busier they are. The last video I did, which was about the unboxing of the new cards, and where I was talking about the thickness, the card thickness. I'm really happy with the card thickness. But I was trying to do a video, but it just to show the difference between the tension of the card thickness, and it just looked like I was doing that with cards, and you couldn't really work it out. But there definitely is a thickness. The new thickness is much better. And one of the few things that people had about the 47s deck is that they weren't overly happy with how thin the cards was. I was always fine. I thought they shuffled well and all that. But when you get the new thick ones, they are nice, and it is nice to have that extra kind of sturdiness. They still shuffle well. They're nowhere near as thick as the Brazilian version, but so they're kind of somewhere in between. So that's something that was a factor in why you never got them then. Now it shouldn't be. So, good people of the internet, I hope to the gods that this recorded and that I don't have to do this again. I really don't think I have it in me to talk through all of these again. So if no one ever sees this video, so if you are watching this video, then everything went somewhat well, and the rest of my day was slightly better than the morning. So, good people of the internet, until our next adventure, be well.